Okay, perfect. Thank you. Hey guys, really excited to talk to you. I'm a huge fan of both of you, actually, and our
Oh,
site is
thanks, bro.
as well.
Thank you, brother.
Um,
You've always been brilliant, man. Really, truly.
Thank you. Well, hey, well, thank you for I'm glad that this movie is finally coming out. I think I saw that first still of Frank Grillo and Mel Gibson with the sword like 2 years ago, and I've been
Yeah,
dying to see it ever since. And I've just been really excited to see it. So I'm glad that it's finally hitting theaters, and hitting Hulu.
yeah.
Okay, so I got to ask you guys, with something like Boss Level, one of the things that really kind of impressed me was the fight choreography, because as amazing as your action movies have been in the past, Joe, they haven't really necessarily been known for martial arts and stuff. I don't think exactly. And what really blew me away was not only the complicated choreography, but the fact that, Frank has to do them without even kind of looking, right? Because he's on autopilot, because it's something that he's done before. Can you talk a little bit about how you made those scenes? Because those were totally unique.
Listen, we had really great, fight choreographers. We had, we started out with Dan Rizzuto, and then we had Brian Sloyer, we had Ming, we had, Selina Lowe's double. And Frank, they got him early in that process, and we really kind of dialed in what that fight would look like, because it is difficult to do. You still got somebody swinging something at your head, and you have to look very nonchalant and very casual about it. And we knew that was going to be a big deal. But in addition to that, Frank is also, he's doing strength training. You got to do conditioning. You got to do all this other stuff. So that was an added bit of, of homework, of, extracurricular stuff that we had to really kind of dial in. And we had really talented people that helped us with that, and got us, got him proficient, with that stuff.
Did you have a background in martial arts going into this, Frank?
Oh, I have a long background in martial arts and boxing and grappling and
I remember you on the Kingdom, and you were great on the Kingdom. It was kind of a different kind of fighting, I think.
I have an extensive background in all movies. I usually do my own fighting and a lot of my own stunts. But this, as Joe said, I was surrounded by incredibly talented people, and I had a little bit of time before we started shooting to get it, start getting it dialed in. And then when we were there, we got our movie got cut from 41 days to 27 days. So we had to
that blows me away. Yeah.
Yeah. So we had to speed up the process a bit. Yeah. So a lot of it, not a lot of it, some of it was just kind of, having to do it. And I think sometimes when you don't have the time, great things happen.
Well, it's funny because I just interviewed Selina Lowe, and I was asking her about your big fight scene. I was like, so how long did you guys have to shoot that? Like a week or two? And she's like, an afternoon. Because you would have never known, because that was probably like one of the best fight scenes I've seen in a movie in a couple of years, probably.
It's fun.
Well, I have to ask you guys also, though. So the R-rated action movie has really declined over the last couple of years, which is too bad, because those are my bread and butter. But those are the movies I grew up watching. Those are the movies I love watching. But it seems like you guys are kind of the two guys that seem to know how to still make them, and to still make them profitable, and to keep them going. And I appreciate that. And I just wanted to ask you, what do you think of the current state of action cinema? Because when I see an R-rated movie now, they tend to be kind of dour, like as if because it's R-rated, it has to be depressing. Whereas, Boss Level was just fun, man. It was just fun from start to finish.
Listen, you look, you look at the Lethal Weapon, you look at all those films in the 80s that were like the R-rated, they went for it. They were unapologetically kind of what they were. Mm-hmm. And I think that we never wanted to be grim. That's not the movie we were making. So, it's certainly not The Gray, which is dour and solemn,
different kind of movie though. Yeah.
very different movie. But I also think that there is Frank and I that's what we kind of love, is kind of the elevated genre that's a little bit, that's a little bit smarter than the average bear. So it's that type of film, is kind of a endangered species at this point. And I think Boss Level is the best action film since, I'm very fond of it, but Fury Road before this was my favorite. Like that to me is just an exemplar of great action movies. But yeah, they shy away from that for whatever reason. I've never figured out why.
Greg, is it true that you got yourself down to 4% body fat for this? I just went for a body fat test, so I was kind of like, when I heard that, my jaw dropped.
Yeah, I was like 4.5% body fat. It was a little weird. It got to a point like Joe and I looked at each other and went, too much? And he was like, I think maybe. But I never want to do that again. No,
pounds, clean snatch. It's like, okay, dude, you're good. You know, now you're going to hurt yourself. And I think it was like, but also he was looking like a character in like Street Fighter, you know, looking like
right. That was the point. That was
like
was
Ryu.
That was the So
I have to say I kind of wish that I'd be able to see this movie on the big screen with 1,000 other people, but unfortunately, because the way the world is these days, I don't think that that's going to happen. But I am glad that it's going to Hulu, because it feels like, you know, everybody's going to watch it now. And what do you guys think of that? What do you guys think of streaming as the home for action movies? Because it seems like there's a niche there that you can kind of have.
I mean, you know, listen, I think just the ubiquity of streaming now and kind of, you know, where we are. I mean, I don't think that the genie's ever going back into that bottle. And I think if you're going to theatrical exhibition in the future is going to be very different. It's going to look different. It's going to feel different. It has to. And I think that for us to be able to reach the kind of audience that Hulu will give this, you know, is extraordinary. And it would certainly never happen with a traditional, you know what I mean? You'd have to wait for it. This is instantaneous. So I think there's something really wonderful about that. And I'm glad, because it means you could, there's access to more content. There's access to stuff that you normally wouldn't, you know, you'd have to go out and kind of hunt down. And now you can, it's right there at the tip of your finger. And I think that's great. I really do. I'm a fan.
Yeah. I'm a huge fan. Same thing. And Joe and I were, you know, we were excited. We've been, you know, wanting to be in business with Hulu, and they've just been great partners. And I can't wait for March 5th. I mean, I'm like giddy, like, you know, and even more so than, because, you know, there's something about when the movie's coming out in the theaters, that first weekend is always so stressful. And if it doesn't work, it just goes away. You know, it's just, and here you have an opportunity to build an audience. The movie sticks around. You know, word of mouth really helps, and you don't have the stress of theater owners pulling your movie out of the theaters. Like, it's such a far more pleasant way for people to experience the film. So
it can be discovered,
to be discovered. So you know, fingers crossed.
I love the company that you guys have, War Party, and I love the movies that you're doing, but there's a couple that you guys have coming up that I'm just really excited about, and I was just wondering if you could give me a heads up. So I know that it's not a remake of The Raid anymore, but you guys have this awesome sounding movie that you're doing together. I was wondering if that's still on the dock, and if you're still doing Leo from Toledo with Mel Gibson, because I'm psyched to see that one too.
And those are two we're psyched about them too, man. And it's just one of those things. It's like, you know, you're trying to push multiple kind of things upfield. So yes, we're very much engaged on both of those things. And you know, listen, obviously something like Boss Level coming out and being successful, hopefully, as Frank mentioned, fingers crossed, allows us to do that a little easier. You know, because we're still in this place where, you know, we're still kind of this nascent company. I mean, we've only been around. I think, again, the slate that we put together and the movies we put together are very much and I want
to we just finished a film, Joe and I, with Gerard Butler,
Cop Shop,
called Cop Shop, and it's another, by the way, it's again a testament to Joe's ability to this is a movie unlike any other movie he's ever made. It's kind of a movie unlike any other movie we've ever seen. Nice. And we're equally excited you know, about that. We're just finishing that up too.
All right, guys. Well, I'm really psyched to see it. So thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thanks, brother.
Take care, guys.